At last week's PMQs, Keir Starmer tried to foment backbench Tory division on Northern Ireland. But after a largely positive response to Rishi Sunak's new deal with the EU, that topic now might prove fruitless. So instead, the Labour leader hedged his bets with a more scattergun approach.
Energy bills are going to go up by £900 in April. House building is going to fall to its lowest level in 75 years. If he scrapped his non-dom status, he could start to fund better childcare.
And the Prime Minister's tactic was to respond by lambasting Labour's policies.
Stop making inflationary, unfunded spending commitments, stand up to the vested interests in the unions and back our minimum service level. It's the same old Labour Party, always running out of other people's money.
That final barb was a line Margaret Thatcher used in 1976. Now, Rishi Sunak also managed to pivot from answering a question on housing to attacking Labour's position on energy.
It is an absurd policy.
But it didn't escape the attention of a Commons clerk. He seemed to point this out to the Speaker, who then said this.
What? Because of the noise, I don't think the Prime Minister is hearing the questions, because I do think it was on house building. Keir Starmer.
After more than 100,000 of Matt Hancock's WhatsApp messages from his time as Health Secretary were leaked to a newspaper, the Labour leader also asked when we'll find out the truth about the government's pandemic response.
The COVID inquiry has already cost the taxpayer £85 million and hasn't heard from a single government minister yet.
He has mentioned it one or two times before that he was a lawyer in a previous life, that there is a proper process to these things. It is an independent inquiry.
And one Keir Starmer question about the economy unexpectedly mentioned the 1980s TV comedy drama Auf Wiedersehen Pet, about British builders leaving the UK to work in Germany.
If the Tories limp on in government, we're going to see a generation of young people learning to say Auf Wiedersehen Pet in Polish, aren't we?
The SNP's Westminster leader didn't seem convinced. Later, Stephen Flynn returned to his favourite topic of Brexit, allowing him to attack both of the SNP's Scottish rivals.
Mr Speaker, let's be clear. What the Prime Minister said yesterday was that EU single market access will be a good thing for business. Now, of course, that's in contrast to the leader of the Labour Party, who said in December that EU single market access would not boost economic growth. Does it hurt the Prime Minister to know that the Labour Party believe in Brexit more than he does?
The important thing to note is to avoid a land border on the island of Ireland between North and South.
Elsewhere, there were questions about a refugee choir singing at the King's coronation.
If it turns out that any of the refugees taking part in that choir have arrived here on small boats or from a safe third country, should they be deported to Rwanda before or after they sing for the King?
And a mention of one of our own investigations.
The Prime Minister may be aware of Sky News' investigation and report today on the over-the-counter sales of nitrous oxide or laughing gas to children and young teenagers. One alarming aspect is the change in the size of canisters from 8 grams to 620 grams. Wow.
The Prime Minister responded to that by saying he was concerned that a review is underway. The government, he said, had asked for it to be accelerated, and he will then consider next steps.